A range of new tax and superannuation changes taking effect from July 1 to discuss how they may create opportunities and potential traps for Aussies looking to maximise their retirement savings. Andrew Grinsell from Cooee Wealth joins me. Good to see you, Andrew.
Good to see you too.
So July 1 just around the corner. What does this mean for everyday Australians? I mean, payday super is a key one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got payday super coming into effect. We've got increases to the concessional contribution caps. We've got non-concessional contribution caps going up and transfer balance caps going up as well. So quite a few changes coming through. They're not major overhauls, they are more so operational changes, and they do create some additional financial planning opportunities. But payday super is probably the biggest one that comes into effect. So from 1 July, what we're going to see is a shift from the current arrangement where employers are obligated to contribute to superannuation quarterly. So what we tend to find is, for example, the June quarter, which we're coming to the end of now, you'd ordinarily find that those superannuation contributions might not go into superannuation for someone until, say, July or August. But what we're going to see from 1 July now is that superannuation contributions have to be made within 7 days of the pay run. So it's going to bring forward the timing of a lot of superannuation contributions, which is really good for a lot of people around the fact that it's going to improve compounding of investment returns. People will be able to better understand or forecast what their contributions will be for the year. It also reduces the risk of issues arising where an employer might fall behind on superannuation contributions, because you'll be able to identify that a bit earlier. However, it's going to create some traps in the first year. So what you're going to find is, let's say you've got somebody on $250,000 a year of income, getting their 12% superannuation guarantee contributions. They'll earn about $30,000 in super contributions next year, which will mostly all fall into being received next year. But that transitional year is going to be a problem where that June contribution, so the quarter we're now in, is also going to fall into next year. So that person would then go and have another $7,500 go in, potentially having them contribute $37,500 in that single year, going over that $30,000 cap, just due to the shifting in the timing. So
I've had questions about that too. Does that onus then of paying that tax fall onto the worker, or does the employer have to take that on?
So if someone's got less than $500,000 in superannuation and they haven't maxed out their concessional contribution limits in the prior 5 years, they'll have what's called unused carry forward concessional contributions. So in that circumstance, what will happen is, once you go above the single year cap, it'll go back and backfill go back 5 years and fill up whatever was unused in that year automatically. However, if your superannuation balance is over $500,000, or you just have maxed out your concessional contributions in previous years, it's going to trigger an excess. So the ATO will then go and send a letter saying, you've exceeded your concessional contribution cap. You have the option to release it and pay the additional tax, or keep that money in superannuation, but you've still got to pay the tax on the difference between the super contribution tax rate of 15% and your marginal tax rate.
Doesn't seem fair if the employer is the one that hasn't been paying on time. But anyway, let's get into those concessional contribution caps, because they are going up a bit.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going from $30,000 up to $32,500. There is no change in the super guarantee contribution rate. We're still at 12%. All it's going to do is just give people a little bit more room to be able to make additional, maybe salary sacrifice contributions. But of course, if somebody's going to increase their salary sacrifice, they probably need to just be careful around that timing issue before doing so. Maybe for some people who are salary sacrificing, it might be worthwhile to actually put a pause on that, wait and see how the contribution timing plays out, and they can always make a personal concessional contribution, so like a contribution out of your own bank account into super, that you claim a tax deduction for at the end of the year, once you've got a better understanding of what your contributions will look like. The other thing that happens with the concessional contribution caps going up is it results in the non-concessional contribution caps going up as well. So that's your after-tax contributions. They'll go from $120,000 a year up to $130,000. Or if someone's using the bring forward, where they'll go and take their contributions for the next 2 financial years and bring them forward to today, so 3 years of contributions in one hit, they'll actually be able to get $390,000 into superannuation in one hit.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's also the transfer balance cap rising, so more money can sit in pension phase as well, going from 2 to 2.1 million?
Yeah, absolutely. So what that means is that for those people who have met a condition of release and are ready to start drawing a tax-effective income stream out of their superannuation, you can now have up to $2.1 million that you can transfer over into that pension phase, which is quite a considerable amount. I mean, for a couple, that's $4.2 million invested with no tax on capital gains, no tax on income, and no tax on the pension payments. It's only those people that are getting up to that Div 293 that are going to still have those taxable extra tax levels, but a Div 296, sorry. Also, people have got to be a little bit careful in that increase to the transfer balance cap, whereby, let's say, for example, somebody back in 2017 started a pension back then for $800,000. The cap back then was $1.6 million. They're not in a position where they get the full benefit of the $500,000 of increase of transfer balance cap that's occurred since then, because they would have already used half of it. So they only get half the gain. So you've got to be careful around calculating the transfer balance cap and not just assume, oh, I can now go and put more money in if you've already previously started a pension.
So you touched there on Division 296, but
Yep.
also Division 293,
Yep.
right, coming into effect. We used to talk about this a lot. Remind us what it is and what's going to hit.
Yeah, so Div 293 has been around for a while. Additional 15% tax on superannuation contributions for people earning over $250,000 a year. So that doesn't change. However, you might find, obviously, people increasing their salary sacrifice or the extra super contributions might just pick up a little bit of an extra Div 293 tax liability this year. But we do have Division 296 kicking in. So something we've been talking about for a long time. Starts on the 1st of July. It's changed quite a bit from what the original proposals were, where we were looking at an extra 15% tax on the total increase in superannuation balance for the portion above $3 million, whereas now the tax is only going to apply on the earnings and the capital gains received, so actual income received and returns, rather than unrealised gains as well. So what it does is it still very much positions superannuation as one of the most tax effective places to be parking your retirement savings, compared to, say, outside of superannuation, where somebody could be paying up to 47% tax. So, and I think from the budget announcements back in May, it really is still positioning superannuation as one of the most effective places to be building retirement savings.
All right, a lot to unpack there. July 1 is very close by. So what's the number one takeaway that people should be, looking at? I guess talk to a financial advisor.
Talk to a financial advisor, but I think what we see is a lot of people need to be getting their tax planning in order earlier in the financial year and actually start thinking about what you want to do around super contributions, capital gains, when are you going to start, realising profits on maybe investments that you have outside of superannuation. Think about it earlier in the financial year. Don't leave it to the last minute, because what we find is when people leave it to the last minute, it gives you very limited opportunity to maximise what you're doing.